2 years in a row, I signed up for the 65 kilometers race at WUU2K, one of Wellington's toughest trail races. Last year, the flu kept me from even making it to the start line. This year, my knee had other plans. That 65K goal, it ended at 33 kilometers. Before the race even began, I gave myself 3 simple rules. Enjoy the day, don't fight my knee, and be ready to pull the plug the moment something felt wrong. In other words, I showed up, but I also showed up with common sense. It was still dark when we set off. Headlamps stretched into a river of stars, winding up the mountain. From the top of Mount Cao, I looked back. Wellington was still tossing in its sleep. Its scattered lights like half-open eyes. Then came the Skyline Walkway. As the sun slowly climbed above the horizon, the sky began to glow. And the thought hit me. The dawn felt like a gentle exam invigilator, patting me on the shoulder and saying, "Don't worry, if you can't finish the paper, I will collect it anyway." At the first aid station, I took off my headlamp, and with it, some of the stubborn pressure I'd been carrying to finish the race. A volunteer handed me a cup of electrolyte drink and asked me how I was doing. "So far, so good," I replied. But I think I was trying to convince myself more than the volunteer. Not long after, I caught up with a friend, and we ran together for a while, chatting about everything that had happened in our lives recently. Half the joy of trail running is finding someone who's just as crazy, just as tired, and just as verbally abusive to the mountains. By the second aid station, 25 kilometers in, my knee was behaving as if nothing had ever happened. My stride felt light. I stood there, halfway through a banana, looking up the ridgeline ahead, when a dangerous thought crept into my mind. Maybe today will be different. But common sense quickly answered, "Don't get cocky, the hardest climbs are still ahead." And the hills, as always, had their own opinion. The next section was relentlessly climbing. My quad started burning, and my knee began typing out Morse code. Clear, polite, and impossible to misunderstand. "Pull out. Now. Immediately. Don't hesitate." So I did exactly what I'd promised myself before the race. No stubbornness, no bargaining, just respect for the plan. At the third aid station, 33 kilometers in, I walked up to a volunteer and said, "I'm dropping out." My voice was as calm as if I were ordering a flat white. She paused for a second, smiled, and said, "You've already come a long way." Milan came to pick me up before I had much time to think. Back home, I had a shower, then caught the bus back to the finish line. I didn't cross that finish line myself. Instead, I stood there and watched my friends arrive one by one. Some cried, some laughed, some hugged each other and didn't want to let go. And standing on the sidelines, I didn't feel jealous at all. Some victories belong to the legs, others belong to the eyes. That day, mine belonged to the eyes. Afterwards, friends kept telling me, "There's always next year." I smiled and nodded. Of course, WUU2K isn't going anywhere, but deep down, I knew there was a much bigger race waiting for me at the end of this year. That was always the real priority. Another 10 or 20 kilometers wasn't worth risking 6 months on the sidelines. My knee did the math better than I did. Right now, my job is simple. Heal properly, recover completely, get my body back to its best. A DNF isn't a full stop. It's just a comma. A pause before the story continues. 33 kilometers wasn't a failure. It was the most honest agreement my knee and I could make. We made a pact. I will come back stronger next year, and my knee had better keep its end of the deal.